I don't know about you guys, but it's been about a week as I'm recording this video since Terrifier 3 hit theaters, and it's time to talk spoilers. I've been pondering, like, should I talk about spoilers? Should I? I feel like there's enough in this movie where I'm like, yeah, I do want to talk spoilers. So, with that being said, if you have not seen Terrifier 3, this video is not for you. Go see the movie, and if you're not on the bandwagon in general, I'd say you go on Prime, watch part 1, part 2, then get your butt in the theater to see part 3, and then come on back and watch this video. So, both parties, this video ain't for you. Get caught up, and then come on back. Now, it is crazy how not only an independent horror movie, but an unrated horror movie is #1 in the box office. Like, it is doing the impossible to where they demolished Joker fully doo in the box office. Partially because that movie sucked. And then another thing is that Terrifier, the fan base is a juggernaut. Like, the fan base is bigger than it ever was back when part 2 was in theaters. Like, between that and now, it is a massive fan base. So there's that. And a lot of hype built around this movie with the controversy, like, oh, I got sick, oh, someone passed out, they couldn't handle the opening scene. Hollywood refused to fund them because of this opening scene. But Hollywood, I mean, like, yeah, before I get to that, like, they are making history in the horror genre. Everybody part of this franchise, you guys are crushing it. Like, Joker doo dropped the ball, and you guys, the Terrifier family, picked it up, and you slammed that basketball, and now it's on fire. And then everyone sees it. Like, the fans love it. I love it. So, yeah. But, yeah, Hollywood going like, oh, hoo, hoo, hoo. No, 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 no. Get rid of this opening scene. No, 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 no. I'm going to tell you why they are fucking hypocrites. I mean, what I'm about to mention, if this wasn't a reality, if this wasn't true, what I'm about to say, then I would be like, okay, I get it, but here's why I don't fucking get it. I mean, here is the It movies, not the miniseries, but the It movies. Like It in 2017 and It Chapter 2 with Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise. They did things that the miniseries would not show. Like, there's Pennywise and there's kids, and you go and he goes, num, 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 num. And then we see him do that in both movies. And Hollywood's like, yeah, sure, okay, have at it. Like, Warner Brothers, like New Line Cinema, like they did those movies, like, sure, okay. A demonic clown eating, eating children. But Art the Clown, in his opening scene, no, 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 no. Nightmare on Elm Street. Freddy Krueger. Who, like, where you don't want to, this is the kind of guy you don't want to leave your kids alone with. I mean, like, for, like, not only because he's a serial killer, but the fact that he's way, like, he's a little too friendly with the kiddos. I mean, the remake shed light on that a lot more than the original franchise did, but when you pay close attention, it's not exactly, like a retcon in the original franchise. You just have to look at the little details, like, yep, Freddy's always been like that. But Hollywood's like, okay, yeah, well, we'll do these movies or whatever. And they're not exactly that watered down. But, like, and then there's Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Boy. But the It movies are a good example, in my opinion, of why they're hypocrites. Because, a demonic clown eating kids. I mean, come on. Art the Clown in his opening saying, no, 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 no. Oh, no, 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 no. That's why Hollywood is basically a joke to me. I mean, yeah, this movie is brutal. Brutal. They took some big swings. And some of which that David Howard Thornton, back when I met him at Still CityCon back in August, and he did mention the church crowd, they're gonna be really offended with this movie. And he wasn't exaggerating. I mean, the only backlash and I guess where it comes to that specifically is where I think some people were protesting for a movie theater not played the movie at that theater. That's all that I've seen. But other than that, and there's the controversial people passing out and everything and throwing up and whatnot. Outside of those two things, this movie is getting so much hype. Like, the hype is real. It is real. It is crazy. But I gotta give mad props to the cast, from Lauren Rivera, who brings, different layers to Sienna that we haven't really seen in other Final Girls who have survived, a horrific ordeal, and then we see them again. Okay, so how are they now? And it's a rarity what they've done with Sienna. I think the other time that we've really seen that, where you go okay, this character's not really doing well after all these years, like Laurie Strode in the Halloween trilogy, from Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills, Halloween Ends, and especially Rob Zombie's Halloween movies with Scout Taylor Compton, how she portrayed Laurie in the second movie. There's a bit of that in her performance as well. But yeah, there's some of that in Sienna's development. And I saw this movie 3 times in theaters. Each time that I watched it, I noticed how when you can tell when Sienna is mentally backed into a corner and she starts to move differently, where you can tell she's getting anxious or whatnot. And when she talks to Jonathan on the phone, she calls him up and she's trying to get herself together and she can barely hold it together. And then when she sees Art the Clown at the mall, she really goes a little bonkers, where she really can't hold it together. And then to the point where she rightfully snaps on Mia, who's a very true crime nutcase and whatever. And I'm calling it now. She used Jonathan's roommate Cole to get close to Jonathan, because she knows that, okay, the Mouse County Clown, they survived him, whatever. I gotta see if I can get an interview with him, get him to be on my podcast, blah 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 blah. And then she sees Sienna, and she geeks out oh my god, it's Sienna! Oh my god! Almost like in the Scream franchise when somebody saw Sydney in that one time in Scream 3, where somebody encounters Sydney and then they're just geeking out oh, Sydney Prescott! Oh my god! Like that too. I'll say that Sydney handled that way better than Sienna does here, but I can't hold Sienna at fault. She had every right to go off on Mia. And Mia has the audacity to call Sienna, well, she didn't say it to her face, because she would have been knocked on her ass. But later on, she says that, Sienna is the insensitive one. Girl, please. And then she is so anxious, I just want to know what it's like. I want to look into the eyes of this madman. He's the most horrific, iconic killer since Jack the Ripper, blah, blah, blah. And then you hear Art overhearing that, and he's just oh, stop it. His reactions to that conversation is hilarious, especially where Cole calls her out you sound like you want to fuck him, and then she's no, I don't want to fuck him, and then his reaction to that is hilarious. Oh man. And then this movie does a good job of keeping art unpredictable. And then when we get to the mall, and then he has the Santa get up and everything, and man, when those kids ran up to him, I thought he was just gonna have nasty, raunchy shit in those presents, to where they see it, where the kids see them and then they freak out, like, oh my god, mommy, mommy, and they run off screaming and crying, and then he just laughs while that happens. That's what I thought was gonna happen, but one kid opens a present and then kaboomy. I'm like, whoa. Like, wow. That is insane. Insane. And I have to mention Art seeing, like the Santa Claus that he gets the Alfred from, the fake Santa Claus, because there's no real Santa Claus in the movie, but yeah, like this guy, like in the bar scene, that when he sees him through the window and he's like, it's hilarious, to where he doesn't even acknowledge the drunk girls getting out of the bar. Like any other time he would have killed them, but he just knocked them out of the way, like, get out of the way, I want to see Santa. But that was just in his body language. He doesn't talk, he didn't say it, but it's all in his body language. And it's hilarious. And he, there's some creative kills here, to where, he does use an axe and stuff, but my favorite one, other than the chainsaw, we'll get to that in a minute, is the liquid nitrogen thrower. I'll call it the nitrogen thrower. There's a flamethrower, but he takes a fire extinguisher and then he liquid nitrogen. So we'll call it the nitro thrower. That's what I'm calling it. I don't know. You can call it that if you wanted to. Let's just call it that. But he uses it on, he tests out the weapon on a rat, and he loves the result. And then he does that to Santa/Charlie. He's really satisfied with how that turned out. Go as far as to rip the guy's beard off after he's finished using it, and then puts a carrot nose onto his face, making him look like a snowman, like with the carrot on the nose. It's so funny. Yeah, they take a massive dump on this holiday. Not just with the holiday in general, but with what it represents, what it means to everybody. Man, they go all out with that. And there's Victoria. Like, man, she is sadistic this time around. Like, to where it gets to the third act and she takes a good chunk of that spotlight. And she is scary as fuck. Like, the actress really crushed it this time. This is like her best performance in the franchise here. She did good in the first movie and then in the second movie. But here, she was like, whoa. I was almost scared to look at her because of how scary she was. But, it turns out it's the same entity that was the little Peril girl in part 2. And then she took over Victoria's body. And now, in that second movie, she was just basically cheerleading Art to do his thing. But here she is like alongside doing fucked up shit, right? Right with them. Giving Tiffany from the Child's Play franchise a run for her money. Giving Mrs. Voorhees a run for her money. Like, man, oh man. She's right up there with those lady slashers. I'll call it, yeah, lady slasher. She's up there. She's definitely up there. So bravo to the actress. Like, I know her name's Samantha, but I keep mispronouncing her last name. But if you're watching this, you crushed it. You crushed it. But man, and it does follow that formula that does happen in some horror franchises, where you survive an event and then you come back in the next sequel. Like, you're probably not going to make it out of this sequel, and that sadly happens to Jonathan. Like, people think that he didn't. Let me change hands here. People think that Jonathan survived. While I am heartbroken that he was killed off, I don't think Art, just dodged that opportunity to take him out. he specifically went to that school to get, to basically do that, you know? Then, he killed his roommate and Mia. I refuse to believe he didn't kill anybody else in that dorm. I refuse. I refuse. But, yeah. I mean, like, when you see the skinless severed head, then they make you think that it's their cousin Gabby. It turns out it's not Gabby, then it's Jonathan. Put his glasses on to the severed head, and you're like, oh boy. Well, that sucks. I mean, let's say that he does survive, and then we see him in part 4. My immediate reaction would be, you're alive! Yeah, you're alive! But I don't think Art spared his life. That's just where I sit on that. What do you think? Do you think he survived? I don't know. I guess we'll see, but I don't think Art would just avoid killing him off. I mean, it reminds me of how, especially in Nightmare on Elm Street, where certain characters survived Freddy, and then we see them again, and they're not so lucky the second time. And I guess that's sort of the case here. It sucks. And I noticed how Gabby sort of took Jonathan's place to where she spends the most time with Sienna, where she's sort of that younger character that she has to look after, like a surrogate little sister. I think after the events of this movie, Sienna could become a surrogate mother to Gabby, because poor Gabby lost both of her parents in this movie. And I really liked them. I think they're really cool. Like Greg and Jessica, I mean, they're really cool. The casting is on point to where I see Jessica, and I do believe, like, she is Barbara's sister. Like, I can buy into that they're sisters. Like, I really do buy into that. I mean, like, the casting is really good in these movies. And not to mention, like, the known faces in the horror community, from Glenn Howard and Daniel Roebuck and Tom Savini. Like, man. And Jason Patric, like, playing Sienna's father. Like, he did a pretty good job. It was cool that they shed a little bit of light on that. Just enough to where you go, like, okay, we get a sense of, where we do finally see Sienna's dad in the flashback. And I thought that was handled really well. And he was a comic book artist. And they start having these visions. I feel like they'll shed more light on that in the next movie. But it feels like this movie is going to set up for a grand finale, from where you see Sienna's real armor being forged, where the demon's being forced to make it. And I feel like that will be like where I think she'll get that in part 4. While she'll get her sword back, where she lost it in the 3rd act, where she had to save Gabby and dodge killing Art to go save Gabby when the floor opened up and she fell into the portal of hell, I would believe that is. After Sienna had a badass moment and killed Vicky. That whole 3rd act was intense, to where I was scared for Sienna. Like, I thought maybe, like, okay, maybe she's not safe. Maybe they are gonna kill her off. Please don't. Like, I was on the edge of my seat that whole time. And I was like, no, don't take over. Like, there's to the point where where Vicky tries to take over Sienna's body, and I'm like, oh no, don't. Like, it is insane. And then her hands were all crushed from, Art the Clown just fucking her up. They put her through the ringer. I'm like, what? Like, how is she gonna fight back? Like, but I think when she grabbed the hold of the sword, I guess, like, she was able to use the sword, and then I think that helped her heal, or she has a healing factor, because later on when her hands were cut after she tried to hold the sword and get Gabby to hold on, and she tries to pull her up, but both Gabby falls into the portal along with the sword, and then it cuts Sienna's hands when it slips when the blade slips out of her hands. And then when she looks at her hands, the wounds are closing, and then her hands don't look all beat up anymore. They don't look like they were put in the meat grinder anymore. So, yeah, I guess there's that. And when then Art gets away, and then we see a little hint, a little Easter egg of one of the shorts that Damien Leone did way back when he did these short videos with Art the Clown. One of which is the Ninth Circle, and that's what the book, what the woman was reading on the bus. It's like, okay, see what they did there. They're gonna bring a little bit of those elements into, and I guess in this franchise. Like if you wanna watch All Hallows Eve, I mean, I'd say go check it out just for the fun of it, just to get the the references and be like, okay, so they could be going here. They could be putting these elements into the franchise. So we'll see how that plays out. But this movie was, I had so much fun watching this. This is horror movie of 2024, definitely, hands down. And yeah, I love this movie. I can't wait to go see it again. And I hope it starts streaming on Screenbox really soon. I imagine it will, and they'll probably get back into theaters in December in time for Christmas, because Christmas is in this movie, where they shift from Halloween to Christmas. It's like Art the Clown became Jack Skellington, where he was in Halloween land and now he's over here with Christmas. Like, what's this? What's this? That hit me afterwards when I watched this movie. It's where it didn't happen beforehand, but not to this extent. But yeah, basically that's what happened in the Terrifier franchise. But I feel like that'll be like a one and done thing with Christmas, and then we'll just go to another holiday, or maybe it won't be any holidays at all. So we'll depend on how much time goes by between part 3 and part 4. Because in part 1, it was taking place in 2017, and then Terrifier 2, 2018, Terrifier 3, like this is a 5-year time jump, so that leaves it at 2023. So like when in part 4, it could take place in 2024 or 2025. So I mean, we'll just have to see. But I feel like with all the hints that we're leading towards, like we're okay, it looks like the armor's going to be forged, and that's going to be the premise where Sienna has to try to find Gabby. And I feel like that can lead to the epic conclusion, to where she gets Abby back, she gets her armor, and she has the sword back, and then now it's time to take out Art the Clown once and for all. And I feel like that would be an epic conclusion. Maybe Damien may split it into 2 movies. If that happens, that's cool. But he feels like he doesn't think he doesn't personally think it'll be more than 2 extra movies in the franchise. Like after that, he doesn't think. I think he knows where he wants to end it. He wants to end it on a high note, and I applaud him for having that mindset. Where all these other dodo birds, are just like, let's keep it going. Keep it going. Ooh, look at the box office numbers. Keep it going, baby. Like, I mean, I'm all for it ending it on a high note. Why get to where your fans are like, okay, you're losing the effect. You had your chance to do an epic conclusion here, but you kept going. Now you're just like going stale. And I feel like Damien's going to do the best he can to avoid getting bit by that bug, because many other beloved horror icons have fell down that abyss, like Jason Voorhees, like Freddy Krueger, definitely Jason Voorhees. And I think Michael Myers, to an extent, fell down that rabbit hole as well. But yeah, Terrifier 3. Let me know what you thought of this movie. Like, I feel like I covered everything that I wanted to talk about. Like, this movie, it's amazing. Like, the more I watch it, the more I love it. It definitely has some little vibes, some Silent Night, Deadly Night vibes. And it had a bit of The Exorcist vibes, like where they mocked basically, like the beliefs and everything. And in Victoria with the shard of glass, it's like there was some Evil Dead thing going on there, like with how she looked in this movie. Like, I almost forgot to mention that before. And then, man, Art the Clown is an icon. You can't say that he isn't, because everywhere you go, he's right there. The hype is real. Like, horror got its groove back because of the Terrifier franchise, to where there are many layers of horror, like how like it was before, back in the 80s and the 90s. Yes, let's keep horror just like this. Just like this. I'm all for it. But yeah, let me know what you thought of Terrifier 3, and what was your favorite moment? Like, what were the kills? Did you get sick watching the movie? I didn't get sick. I was fine with it. I considered the possibility that the movie could have made me go, but nah. I mean, I was grossed out, a couple of times, but what I've seen, as brutal as this movie is, I sat through it. I'm like, that's fucked up. But that's it. That's it. And nobody walked out of my theater like, oh, I'm getting sick. Like with opening night, they were enjoying every minute. It was insane. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you thought of this movie, or what do you think of the franchise? What is your favorite movie in the franchise? Let me know. And if you like this video, make sure you thumb it up, click subscribe, notification bell, all that fun stuff. As always, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in my next videos. So until then, take care. Peace out.